Some shocking reporting dropped recently that Nettles and Daeron Targaryen will not be seen in season 2 of House of the Dragon.
You tell me, boy. Where did you hear this lie?
This report is coming from a Twitter account at House the Dragons, which is, I always want to say House of the Dragons, but it's House the Dragons. It's a Brazil fan account, and when you translate this, they stated that we've heard from some inside sources that Daeron Targaryen and Nettles are not included in House of the Dragon season 2 cast. Now, hearing this and knowing that there will only be 8 episodes, what's your immediate reaction?
Yeah, first of all, spoiler alert, just in case, because we are going to be going into some book stuff in this, because that's what these characters are from, obviously. It does make me nervous, just in terms of cutting content in general, especially with that short episode length, man. It is very reminiscent of the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, and you know how that turned out. But at the same time, we had a great season 1 of House of the Dragon, and that thing moved at hyper speed. Like, we covered like 30 years in a very short amount of episodes. And to be fair, if anything's going to be cut from the story, if any of the brothers have to be cut, I should say, or siblings of the main cast, it would be Daeron, right? I mean, he's by far the least significant of these guys, but it's just a strange thing to do. It makes me wonder if, like, the writers weren't confident that they'd be able to put Aemond and Aegon over enough or something and make them as significant in the eyes of the audience as they want, so they have to, like, cut this third person to get rid of any possible distractions. Like, no. We don't want a third brother. It's too distracting. It's just too much going on. We need people to look at Aemond and Aegon and respect them. I don't know what the methodology is there, but, and same with Nettles, really. Shocking to me that they'd cut her out, though. Like, one of the only legitimately black characters or women of color, whatever, and they're going to cut her? That's crazy.
So there's 2 possibilities. They cut them fully, which I don't think they would, at least not with Nettles. Nettles is, you know, like you said, she's the only, like, legitimately, before even they start doing, like, some race changes in House of the Dragon, she has dark skin, like, explicitly in the books. Yes. And I think we've seen some photos of some of the dragon seeds already on set, and there seems to be a person with, like, Hugh Hammer and some other dragon seeds, and there seems to be a black girl who is most likely Nettles, but there hasn't been any confirmation or announcement about it. So I don't think they're cutting her, but with Daeron, there was even speculation that he wasn't going to be in the series at all, like in season 1, because we didn't see him at all. But we do see confirmation that in the House of the Dragon intro, we see his, like, you know, like little blood rivers. We do see his symbol, which is a cup, because he's a cupbearer in Old Town right now. And it would be really weird if for some reason they don't show him and they just mention him, or don't even mention him until season 3. That'd be so weird. Right. At least Stannis, who we see in season 1, or excuse me, is talked about in season 1 quite frequently, is shown immediately in season 2. It's like the opening shot of season 2 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, immediately. And I understood that Stannis is a way more relevant character than Daeron in terms of, like, big events and stuff. But, dude, if, like you said, we see that he does exist in the universe. So even if we go 2 full seasons without seeing him, it is really odd, because if we do end up seeing him, narratively, if I'm watching a show and we have this insanely prominent family and we have these 2 brothers that are very, very powerful, and we even just hear reference to a third brother at all, and he spends X amount of time off screen, the longer you go off screen, the more I'm going to assume they're building him up. That's kind of like Gendry in Game of Thrones, right? Like, we saw this guy, we didn't see too much of him. He was on a little quest with Arya, you know, in Harrenhal, whatever. And then he was gone for a long time. He sailed off in that boat, and we kind of forgot about him a little bit. But whenever you remember it, you think to yourself, holy shit, I wonder what they're planning for this guy, because it's going to be major. He's such a key player. He's related to such key players. And it's the same with Daeron. Like, he is a very, very prominent member of the most prominent family in this whole thing. And when siblings are dropping left and right, eventually this guy is going to be the only person in line for the throne. And if he isn't built up at all, you're just going to know that he's not going to do anything, right? Like, we know that he ends up dying. If, you know, book spoilers, we know he doesn't end up actually doing anything significant.
No, he lives forever, actually.
He's the giant that's the blue eye that the universe lives in. But he doesn't actually do anything significant in the books. But if we don't see him for an insane amount of time, that's going to drop even harder, I guess, when that happens. It's going to feel like the end of Game of Thrones, where all of these things were built up only to fall on their face.
Yeah, that would be really weird. It would be like if in Game of Thrones, like season 7 or 8, we also just get like Fagon, you know, young Griff, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, book fans know what's going on, but you don't even allude to this guy. It would be so weird to in season 3 just Daeron show up, and you're like, people would even be more confused because you couldn't go to. You'd be like, oh yeah, it did. When I watch back, I do remember them talking about this younger brother in Old Town. They would just be so confused by season 3 that who's this? Daeron? No, it's not Daemon. Daeron? Who's Daeron? You know? Oh, their brother? You mean Aemond? You know, like people would be so confused at that point.
But if he did something super significant in season 3 or in the end, like let's say Aemond and Aegon, you know, get taken out, and then it's like called Daeron, and you've heard his name a few times, and then you're like, oh shit, and then this Giga Chad shows up with lightning in the background or whatever, his dick swinging, right? It's like slaps Rhaenyra across the face with it, and it breaks her neck. It's like, okay, yeah, understood then why this guy was kind of kept in the shadows. He was too dangerous to be put on the front lines. It would have killed the tension. But the fact that he doesn't do anything, yeah, it just would fall flat on its face. Nettles, I think, is actually different. She's a little bit more significant in like the nitty gritty of the story, has more relationships to more characters. So I like you said, there's no way they're cutting her completely. But again, even if they kind of diminish that role, it would surprise me because let's just say she's on Team Black.
Yeah, well, speaking of Team Black, I think if they cut Daeron, this is pro Team Black propaganda. Daeron's actually one of the greatest, like, wholesome characters on Team Black. I'm trying to think if I had to do my top rankings here. It'd probably be Tyland number 1, Tyland Lannister, Daeron, and then I don't know who my number 3 is. I mean, there's so many good ones. Yeah. I can't even pick. That's all.
Yeah, and we're sympathetic, by the way. Sympathetic simp. Yes. We're simps for Team Green on this channel a little bit because Team Black is being made out to be this like innocent victim type of thing, even though they have Daemon and Rhaenyra like two absolute assholes, dude. We love Daemon though. But so yeah,
but imagine if they cut Nettles, then, which I don't think they would, but if they did cut her, that would just take this whole other aspect of Daemon, his arc, towards a later, what do you want to say? I don't want to say later half of his life, because it's not half his life, but the later half of the war, it's just totally null and void. He's just fucking around somewhere else.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm actually really interested to see how they conclude all that. I want to know what they're going to do. This is a little bit off topic now, but when, you know, the actual Dance of Dragons, when it's Aemond versus Daemon, I wonder what they're going to end up doing with Daemon's death, because it's supposed to be so ambiguous and, you know, you never see him or whatever. I wonder if we're going to see him die, if we're going to get something definitive or not, because I could see them, and I wouldn't even be that upset with this, if they keep him alive and then have some kind of a spin-off or something. Like, it would, I mean, it's so dumb, but at the same, if they execute it right, I think it could be done. It'd be better than the Jon Snow spin-off, I think. But
could you imagine if he shaves his head bald and he bumps into Laenor in Essos?
Oh, dude. Oh, and Carl, don't forget about Carl. Carl with a Q. That's clever alphabet there. Hey, I also wanted to bring up the fact that a different rumor sort of hinted that maybe even Maelor Targaryen would not be featured in season 2, and that's another level of stupid. I think that's probably worse than the Daeron thing.
Again, the intro for House of the Dragon shows that Helaena and Aegon have 3 children. Allegedly, they have. We still think maybe our boy Aemon might be. Well, check out the video on the channel if we haven't put it out already. But Aemon might actually be the parents of those 3 children. But we do know, confirmed by us. Don't worry, don't even talk to George R. R. Martin. There's 3 children between Aegon and Helaena, and the reason why people are speculating this is because we haven't seen Maelor at all on screen, and then there was some like press release or website announcement, and they only talked about Jaehaerys and Jaehaera. So, first off, do you think they could make it work? What do they lose from just having Jaehaerys and Jaehaera?
I mean, they don't really lose anything super significant because it's not like the blood and cheese thing is very pivotal.
Well, how would they go down though? Like a son for a son. Which one's your son?
So right, you don't have to. Well, they could just make her choose between this. Do you want your son to die or your daughter to die? I guess. Yeah. It takes away like a dimension to it because. I guess since she chose her, you know, she wants Maelor to die. That's the one that she chooses to die because he's the youngest one. And then they end up killing the other son, like kind of despite her or whatever. And then it ends up ruining her relationship with Maelor. So I guess maybe that whole dynamic they just don't think is worth putting on screen. And that could be part of the reason why it's only 8 episodes long, you know, season 2.
So like in the case. So an alternative then, it would be she chooses Jaehaera, the girl twin, to die, and then they kill Jaehaerys. So then Jaehaera would just have to live with this like trauma. So
right. It's kind of just tit for tat. Doesn't change too much.
No, I don't think so either. But it doesn't make sense because the whole reasoning was, it wasn't a kid for a kid, it's a son for a son, you know? And the whole point is like, we're going to take one of your sons and you have to choose which one. And then, oops, actually it's the other one. I'm a little stinker. Sorry.
Well, yeah, well, maybe that's just like the framing of Blood and Cheese. Like if they come in there, I don't know why they have to reveal the entire thing and then do like a curveball on her anyway. Like she could have just said, you know, we've been shaped to take out one of your offspring, real nice and tasty.
Which one of them's the boy?
Yeah, we can't tell. We're not that smart. But it's like
they both smell pretty good.
Like, yeah, they both menstruating. We know it. But no, so it's like, where's your son? We know you have one around here somewheres. But so I don't know. I don't know what they would do in that situation. But they don't have to reveal they're looking for a son. They don't need to reveal that. They could easily just say, we're going to kill one of your kids. She says, all right, take the daughter. And then they kill the son. Or, you know, they could also she could just volunteer her son as well. And then they kill the person that she volunteers. Or if they don't even give her a choice. That's the stupidest option of all, but it's possible. What if they just come in there and kill the son in front of her without even introducing themselves?
Don't even say anything.
Yeah.
What if they just spoke in like sign language or like just gestures? And she's like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. It's like, I don't speak this language, you guys.
They're shrugging. They're like doing like eye movements. Like, which one? And they're like, that one? I don't know what you're talking about. Then they slit the throat of the other one. Like, oh, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's like, Jairus, can you go shake their hand? I don't know what they want. Go over there and see what they want. And then he dies by accident. I have no idea. I don't know what they're going to do with that situation. But if Maelor's not involved, like you said, he's in the title. So where would he be? There's no reason for him not to be there. So that rumor seems a little bit ridiculous.
And then maybe they just don't want to have Maelor in there. I think they will still, but maybe they don't want him in there because what really happens to him later on. I think he gets literally like pulled apart in some like mosh pit over some, I think it's some bridge or something. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I remember he dies in a horrific way, Maelor, later on.
Yeah, I think all the kids die in a horrific way, don't they?
Yeah, and that's what the thing too, that I hope they don't cut too much of this horrific moments in it, because that's what I love about this is, you know, I like fantasy stories. This one feels way more grounded, and on top of it, it's grounded and it's really real about how horrific things would turn out, you know, and how bad, you know, like a child of the opposite king would be treated in public, especially in like a mosh area, gets pulled apart, destroyed, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I don't want that to be absolutely, especially in this kingdom too. That the thing is, they really try not to make these rulers benevolent at all. Like there's a lot of like grayness to them, and a lot of times just cruelty. Like King V obviously was probably the most like well-intentioned guy here with the least amount of personality defects, I guess, right? But that's why they killed him off and kind of made him irrelevant. It's to bring in these terrible people to lead, and we have bitch supreme on the right, and we have like incompetent. I don't know. Listen, I'd jerk off on a window if I had everything.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Really, you can do whatever you want. Tommen just jumped out it like a bitch. Like you could have been jerking off out of that thing, dude. Come on.
What am I gonna jerk off in my pocket like Larry Strong? That's disgusting. God. I'm just gonna sit around, walk around the kingdom or the Red Keep with my cum-filled pocket. I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah, I got a pocket full of cum. That's ridiculous. There's no reason to ever be that way. I do that in real life too, by the way. So it's like. I suspend my disbelief when I watch this show. I don't want to just be living my real life in Westeros. I'm changing everything about myself.
I forgot to mention this earlier, real quick. If they cut Nettles, maybe some person higher up was thinking that it was a little insensitive that the one black girl is riding the dragon named Sheep Stealer. You know, like, oh, Sheep Stealer, the black girl rides the Stealer? I don't think so. Cut it. Cut that shit out right now.
They could have just changed the dragon's name, or maybe not even named the dragon at all. But you know, maybe the better option is just to cut the character altogether. Yeah, you're right.
Like, yeah, we can change the name. Like, no, cut that shit out. Cut it out.
We don't want anything. It'll make me think of it. I can't watch it if I'm thinking about Cheap Stealer.
I want these executives like just plug in their ears, going, no, cut it.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I know all black people steal things, and I don't want it in my show. I don't want everybody to know that I know.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and smash that like button.
Or not. We don't care.